then he shall serve a term of 2 years on that count as well.
It's not as bad as you think it is.
One moment, his name was written on scouting lists and whispered in gym halls across the country. The next, it was spoken inside a silent courtroom where every second felt heavier than the last. As the decision was read out loud, the future he believed was untouchable disappeared in front of him, and his body gave out before his mind could catch up. This is the story of Tony Farmer, a young basketball phenom whose rise stopped the instant real life stepped onto the court.
That the defendant shall serve a term of 3 years, which is the minimum.
Tony Farmer was born on March 24th, 1994, and grew up near Cleveland, Ohio, in a place where basketball mattered every single day. From a young age, people saw that Tony was different on the court. He was tall, strong, and moved like someone much older than his age. By the time he reached Garfield Heights High School, his name was already spreading beyond his neighborhood. Coaches talked about him. Scouts watched him closely. Crowds came early just to see him play. Tony did not look like a normal high school player. He looked like the future. At Garfield Heights, Tony became the center of everything. He played with power and confidence, scoring with ease and controlling the game. Each season, his reputation grew larger. National ranking lists placed him among the top high school players in the United States. ESPN ranked him inside the top 100 recruits. College programs from across the country started calling. Big Ten schools and other major programs wanted him. To many people, Tony Farmer was already halfway to the NBA, even before finishing high school.
Tony Farmer's talent on the basketball court made the Garfield Heights High School senior one of the top college recruits in the country.
During his senior year in 2012, Tony's life followed a clear path. Graduation was close. College visits were being discussed. A full scholarship felt almost guaranteed. People around him believed his talent made him untouchable. Teachers knew his name. Fans wore his jersey. Media stories spoke about his potential, not his mistakes. For Tony, basketball was not just a game. It was his escape, his future, and his identity. Behind the scenes, his personal life was unstable. His relationship with his girlfriend was tense and filled with arguments. Friends noticed the stress, but few believed it could threaten his career. Tony himself seemed focused only on basketball. The idea that everything could disappear overnight felt impossible. Yet that night was already coming closer, unseen and unstoppable. In April 2012, an argument between Tony and his ex-girlfriend exploded into violence. What started inside an apartment did not stay private. The fight moved into shared spaces where cameras were watching. Surveillance footage later showed Tony attacking her, hitting and kicking her as she tried to protect herself. The video showed her cornered, scared, and unable to escape. The violence did not stop there. Tony dragged her by her hair through the apartment building. When she tried to get away, he pulled her back again. Outside, the assault continued. He kicked her multiple times and prevented her from leaving. The attack was brutal and public. People later described the footage as impossible to forget. This was not a rumor or a story told by someone else. It was all recorded on video. After the assault, investigators uncovered text messages sent by Tony to his ex-girlfriend. These messages were not calm or apologetic. They were threatening and aggressive. The texts showed control and intimidation, not regret. There was also evidence that Tony violated a no-contact order that had been put in place to protect her. Each message added weight to the case. The combination of video footage, text messages, and witness accounts left little room for doubt. What some might have tried to dismiss as a private fight became a serious criminal investigation. Police reviewed the footage frame by frame. Prosecutors examined every message. Tony's status as a basketball star no longer mattered. The focus shifted fully to the harm that had been done. Tony Farmer was arrested and charged with kidnapping, felonious assault, robbery, and intimidation. The charges shocked the basketball world. News spread quickly, not because of his play, but because of the violence caught on camera. College programs went silent. Scholarship talk stopped overnight. The same talent that once protected him now meant nothing inside a courtroom. During sentencing, Tony stood before the judge wearing an orange jumpsuit. Supporters asked for mercy, hoping his future in basketball could be saved. Even the victim asked for leniency. The judge refused to be swayed. She made it clear that being a basketball star did not excuse violence. As the sentence was read, Tony collapsed in the courtroom. The moment was captured on video and spread across the internet, turning into a viral clip seen by millions.
In case 562027, that the defendant shall serve a term of 3 years, which is the minimum, on count 1 of that. As to count 2 in that case, felonious assault, a felony of the 2nd degree, it is ordered that the defendant shall serve a term of 2 years in prison on that count. As to count 3 of that case, the robbery, which is also a felony of the 2nd degree, the court orders that the defendant shall serve a term of 2 years on that count as well. I haven't finished yet. I haven't finished.
Tony. Tony, we're not going to stretch this now. It's not as bad as you think it is. Come on. Tony,
On the sole count of the indictment in case 564206, the felony of the 3rd degree, the court orders that the defendant shall serve a term of 9 months in prison on that count. All of these terms are going to be served concurrently, which means that the defendant is, in effect, going to spend 3 years in prison. As part of your sentence, Mr. Farmer, you are subject upon your release from prison to a period of post-release control to be supervised by the adult parole authority. On the felony of the 1st degree conviction, this is mandatory and is for a period of 5 years. On the felony 2 convictions, that is felonious assault and robbery, this is a mandatory term and is for a period of 3 years. And on the intimidation of a crime victim, this is for a period of up to 3 years and is discretionary on the part of the adult parole.
Tony was sentenced to 3 years in prison, followed by 3 years of probation. At only 18 years old, his promising future disappeared behind prison walls. While his former teammates moved on to college and national attention, Tony's world became small and restricted. His name was no longer connected to highlights, but to headlines about crime and violence. During his time in prison, the basketball world continued without him. New stars emerged. His ranking meant nothing now. When he was released in 2015, the game had moved forward, and he had been left behind. The road back would be long and uncertain. After his release from prison in 2015, Tony tried to rebuild his life through basketball, starting from the very bottom of the system he once dominated. Just months after walking free, he attempted to enroll at Lincoln College, a small junior college in Illinois. For someone who had once been chased by top Division I programs, the move showed how far his life had fallen. That opportunity ended quickly when he was denied admission, cutting short his first attempt at returning to the court and forcing him to search again for a place willing to take the risk. Farmer refused to quit. He eventually found a second chance at Lee College in Texas, a community college far removed from national attention and major media coverage. There, he finally returned to competitive basketball after years away from the game. On the court, he showed that the talent that once made him a top recruit had not disappeared. In his first season, he averaged around 16 points and 9 rebounds per game, immediately becoming one of the team's most important players. His second season was even stronger, as he improved across nearly every statistical category and proved he could still dominate at that level. For a brief stretch, it looked like basketball might give him another opening. Scouts took notice, not with the same excitement as before, but with curiosity. After the 2016 to 2017 season, Farmer declared for the NBA draft, hoping that his production and physical tools could outweigh his past. When draft night arrived, his name was never called. He went undrafted, a clear message that teams were unwilling to look past the video, the charges, and the prison sentence. His ability was no longer the main question. His history was. With doors in the United States largely closed, Farmer turned to overseas basketball to keep his career alive. He signed short-term contracts and moved frequently, playing wherever opportunities existed. He spent time in Qatar and Mexico, then returned briefly to the United States to play in minor leagues, including a short stint in Yakima, Washington. None of these stops offered long-term security, but each one represented another attempt to move forward and redefine himself through the game. Years later, the past returned again in a way that felt painfully familiar. In April 2020, police in Kenner, Louisiana, issued a warrant for Tony Farmer's arrest on a felony domestic abuse battery charge. The case began when his then longtime girlfriend, Nikki Mano, filed a police complaint after an incident on April 17th that was partly recorded by a doorbell camera outside her home. The footage showed Farmer grabbing her by the neck and trying to pull her back inside the house while she resisted. The video did not show how the argument started, but it clearly showed physical force being used, and that was enough to trigger another serious investigation. According to police spokesman Lieutenant Michael Cunningham, the warrant was issued after officers reviewed the complaint and video evidence. The Jefferson Parish District Attorney's Office later stated it would decide whether to seek Farmer's extradition from Ohio, where he was located at the time. Farmer declined to comment publicly when contacted, responding only through a brief text message. The silence stood in contrast to the growing attention around the case, as the video began spreading online, once again placing his name next to violent images rather than basketball highlights. Nikki Mano chose to post the doorbell video on her Instagram account, allowing the public to see what she said she had endured. ESPN later reported on the case, noting that it normally avoids naming alleged victims of domestic violence, but Mano agreed to be identified and to speak openly. She said she was exhausted from covering for Farmer and felt a responsibility to speak out. She stated that she wanted people to know the truth and wanted other women to understand that walking away was allowed and necessary. Her words closely echoed statements made years earlier by Farmer's former girlfriend in Ohio, reinforcing the sense that history was repeating itself. Farmer denied that he intended to harm Mano. In text messages sent to ESPN before the warrant was issued, he claimed the situation had been misunderstood and said she had started the altercation inside the house. He wrote that she had threatened him with bleach and that he was trying to pull her back inside to stop the situation from escalating. He admitted that his hand moved to her neck during the struggle, but said it was not intentional and that he did not mean to hurt her. In the video, an open plastic bottle was visible in Mano's hand, a detail both sides referenced, though it did not change how police viewed the physical actions captured on camera. As the years went on, Farmer became a basketball journeyman, moving frequently between leagues and countries. He played in Bolivia, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Syria, and Venezuela, often putting up strong individual numbers. In some leagues, he earned all-star selections and led teams in scoring, proving that his talent had not disappeared. On the court, he was productive and reliable. Off the court, however, every new allegation and resurfaced video reminded teams and fans that his history was unresolved. Every contract came with questions. Every move carried risk. The promise he once held as a teenager never returned. His story became a reminder of how quickly success can disappear when violence enters the picture. From a top 100 recruit to prison, and from viral fame to a life on the road, Tony Farmer's rise and fall was shaped not by talent, but by choices caught on camera. So, this story is not just about basketball, fame, or lost talent. It is about choices and how fast everything can change. One moment can erase years of hard work, and no amount of skill can protect you from the consequences of your actions. Let me know what you think about this story in the comments. Do you believe people deserve second chances, or are some mistakes too big to come back from? If you found this breakdown meaningful, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more real stories that go deeper than the highlights.